And a very good morning to you. It's 19 minutes past 8 and it's time for a big conversation. Now, the Global Voice on Dementia in its online publication says someone in the world develops dementia every 3 seconds. Now, that's extremely scary. So what exactly is dementia? What are the causes? Can it be treated or managed? Now, you may recall that we've talked about Alzheimer's on this show a couple of times. And we'll be seeking to know the link between Alzheimer's and dementia and whether the two are the same thing, as many believe. Now, we're delighted to be joined in studio by Dr.David Bukusi, who's a psychiatrist, psychologist. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with, first of all, yesterday was World Suicide Day. And, well, we're not talking about suicide, but maybe we can touch on that briefly.
Right. Actually, it was World Suicide Prevention
Day. Sorry,
right.
Yeah, we're not encouraging people. Sorry,
No,
I sound a bit insensitive. Yeah.
No, so sorry about that. Yes, World Suicide Prevention Day. Suicide is a problem which is actually increasing around the world. Mm-hmm. And the reasons for it are numerous, and they depend sometimes on the different sexes and the different issues that people are going through.
Right.
But it is becoming a significant public health problem, and there are measures which are being taken around the world to try and ensure that suicide can actually be prevented.
Because I was saying early in the morning, I was reading something in the local dailies. I was saying there are over 700,000 people attempting suicide in the world.
Absolutely, and it's actually a significant cause of death. And especially among young men.
Young men.
Yes.
Okay.
Men. You may recall just the last week, I think there was a particular article in one of the dailies which was talking about 200 suicides in just one area. Alone.
Yes, some research that was done. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, it's actually a very significant problem, and we're trying to see how best this can be prevented.
And we have an event happening today?
We have an event happening at the Dietary Hospital. Okay. Dietary Hospital is our premier mental health institution. Mm-hmm. And we're looking at trying to promote mental health with a view to trying to mitigate against any activities that would lead towards suicide.
Okay. So definitely I think we will need to have a whole day on that. But for today, let's explore dementia. So let's first talk about what is dementia.
Now, dementia is a clinical condition, shall we say, and it's a condition which is actually characterized by 3 major components, loss of abilities in 3 major components. Mm-hmm. The first one is memory.
Memory, okay.
Memory is a big issue. Mm. Now, we may talk about memory in a bit more detail a bit later because many of us also have issues with memory.
Yes, I was already beginning under threat.
It does not necessarily mean we have dementia.
Right.
So we have deficits in memory. Mm-hmm. Then we start to have deficits in intelligence. Just the way we function, the way we think, the way we...
so our thinking capacity goes down?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it gets compromised. And then we have deficits and changes in personality.
Okay.
So a person who may have been very kind, pleasant, generous, boisterous, suddenly changes and becomes harsh, sharp.
So a total change in personality, like you flip on the other side?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's what now, when we talk about dementia, and, we've been doing a bit of Alzheimer's, and are they the same thing? How do you differentiate them?
One is a subset of the other. In other words, Alzheimer's is a subset of dementia. Dementia is a broad description of all the different conditions.
So it could be like a blanket. Dementia is, then you break it down.
Exactly.
Now, okay, so we were reading up on this, and we found things like vascular dementia, lewy body dementia, frontotemporal dementia. What are those?
It's the different parts of the brain which are actually affected, and it's lewy body.
Hey, lewy, I gave you a new word.
Yes.
So dementia affects different parts of the brain.
It depends on the different parts of the brain that may be affected. It may be global, or it may be specific in different regions.
What would cause what would cause the dementia? Is it an infection? What is it?
Dementia is, as we said, this complex collection of these particular symptoms that we're talking about, and it may well be caused by changes in the neural systems of the brain. Mm-hmm. Now, these changes may be caused by all sorts of things. They may be caused by diseases. Mm-hmm. They may be caused by blockages in terms of vascular. That's why one of them is vascular.
So vascular is when you talk about circulation,
Exactly.
blood and everything.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So the blood is preventing the nutrition, the nourishment of different parts of the brain,
Mm-hmm.
and then you start getting symptoms because those parts of the brain are not able to function anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now, what are the most, okay, there are different types. What are the most common forms of dementia and why?
Well, mostly we talk about the normal senescence process.
There we go now. Yeah, that sounds
Senescence.
very serious, very complicated.
Senescence is one of those words which, when you break it down or stretch it out, you get to senility, and when it's
Aha.
so the normal aging process. So different parts of the nervous system just start to age, just going through the normal aging
Okay.
process. And so dementia, we do find that the older you are, the more likely you are to get dementia. Not that you will get it, but the more likely you are, as opposed to if you're going through the normal aging process. And in that particular regard, we're talking about when you start hitting over 65, 70, and then you start having these slight changes which become much more noticeable. I'm talking about noticeability because we do have memory intelligence changes which are not necessarily noticeable in the earliest stages of life. But as now you hit your older years, they start becoming more noticeable.
So does it mean then, can it be inherited, dementia?
There are specific kinds of dementia which do have a much stronger heritable track, so to speak. So there are those which can be inherited if you have the genetics for it, but then also there are those which you acquire as a result of perhaps our unhealthy lifestyles.
Okay, so maybe what can be passed on? What kind of what are the ones that can be inherited? Because you hear if people had Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, it will be carried down.
Yes. There are histories of conditions like Alzheimer's disease, for example. The Alzheimer's disease we have a specific gene which can be tracked to specific, from DNA analysis. And you will actually find that, okay, if you do have this gene, there's a much greater potential that you will actually develop dementia. Now, one of the interesting things about whether you're genetically predisposed or not,
Yes.
is that we still need triggers.
Triggers,
Stress. So you may be predisposed to it, but if you don't have the triggers, if you don't experience anything that will actually trigger the development of dementia itself, you may be able to actually pass through the rest of your life without having dementia itself.
So when we talk about triggers, what would the triggers be?
Sometimes they're nutritional factors, sometimes they're emotional factors, stress factors, which cause all sorts of challenges in terms of the functioning of our brains and our nervous tissue. If we do not exercise our brains,
Exercise our brains. Let's
our brains.
distinguish there. So okay, fine. So if we don't exercise our brains and the proper nutrition, you also mentioned lifestyle. What kind of lifestyle would affect?
Lifestyles, our sedentary lifestyles.
Ooh, I need to start moving. Okay, so this sitting down is not helping.
Absolutely, we need to keep moving. We need to keep moving. We need to keep using our brain, exercising our brain.
Let's get to that part now. That's the part I'm going to. So how do we exercise our brains?
Learn a new language.
Okay, here we go.
Do Sudoku. Chess. Challenge
There's
your
nothing
brain.
a bit easier. Chess is complicated. Sudoku is complicated. Okay, so do the tough stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Think.
Well, crossword puzzles, fine. I think we can hack that one.
Yes.
So we
Absolutely.
do need to keep getting the brain engaged, learn a new skill.
Yes.
Okay.
Language is a great thing because it actually does it engages the whole brain, all the different parts of the brain which have to go into language. So yeah, those kind of exercises.
Okay, I didn't know that. So it depends. So when we're exercising, we need to look for things that get the whole brain working.
Absolutely.
So languages.
Yes.
Angie needs to learn how to play chess. It's rather late in the day.
But it's also very interesting, by the way, exercising the brain, by exercising the body, just by and large, you also exercise the brain because you have to keep the body moving. You have to keep pushing the body.
So exercise, people, simple exercise.
Absolutely.
So ride a bike,
yes,
take a long walk.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's
and
good.
Stretch that. So you start pushing things beyond your normal physical expectations. And so you have to engage different parts of your brain to ensure that you actually do that exercise.
Now, some of the characteristics we were reading about dementia were saying that sometimes you may have a problem trying to remember words. You know them, but they can't come.
Right.
You know, I'm seeing green, but the color green has just evaded me.
Absolutely. Or you're seeing a particular face. I know this person. You're speaking to them. You know their whole context, but their names just won't come to you at that particular point in time. And they come to you perhaps later, perhaps not at all.
Is that a symptom?
Like I said, there's normal forgetting. Okay. And one of the things that we do in this life of ours, unfortunately, we are undertaking more and more stuff which we need to concentrate on. We have things which are disturbing us, our workplace, our homes, our relationships, and we just have so much. And our brains are programmed to, well, the idea is to be able to concentrate on one thing at a time.
So multitasking is not a plan.
It's a useful thing, but when the tasks become far too many, then obviously, where the chances are, then something is going to lose out. Right.
So now, when we talk about forgive, the ability, words forget, you're not able to plan or organize. When do all these things become a thing to worry about? Because fine, we've understood dementia can happen as you get older.
Right.
But when should you start worrying if you have other symptoms when you're younger? What are the things you need to keep an eye out for? They say prevention is better.
Absolutely. And one of the things about dementia is, excuse me, one of the things about dementia is that by the time you're having noticeable symptoms, the problems, actually the physical problems, the biological problems, actually started about 10 years before.
Woo, that's a bit scary.
Yes, it is. Our brains have very incredible compensatory mechanisms. So as you have small slip-ups here and there, your brain is able to cover that. But by the time you're hitting 10 years, the brain's capacity to cover
up is hindered.
Exactly.
Or it's diminished.
It's diminished. And so what do we need to know? For example, if you forget, as tends to happen as you start hitting your 40s, your 50s, you start going to your bedroom, you say, I was going to get something.
Yes, something brought me here. I just don't know what.
Well, depending on the nature of your engagement at that particular point in time, so long as you're not thinking about 20 things at the same time, or if you are, then chances are you will have those kind of episodes. But if you go to your bedroom and then forget where you are, then clearly that is a problem.
Phew. Okay. So we can forget. Yes, I came for keys and now I don't know what I'm. Okay.
Go back and say,
but you don't know where you are. That is a room for concern.
That is where you start getting problems.
What else do you need to look out for?
By the time somebody starts telling you that you told me that about 5 minutes ago.
Oops.
Then you start saying, okay, where am I? Did I say this? Did I tell you this? Did I? And you can start checking yourself. And by the time you start repeating yourself, that means you're completely forgetting what your teachers have actually done. Then we know that you're actually having a problem.
Now, how do you treat, what are things you can do? Do you come, especially when you mentioned that if by the time you're forgetting it's been 10 years down the road, what tests can we do on the brain, or how do we diagnose or help prevent some of these things? Is there any way of early detection?
To a very great extent, like I said, the symptoms really take a long time to be actually to prevent themselves. However, working at living healthy lifestyles has been shown to delay even those who do have predisposition to get dementia, to actually delay the onset of the same. So a great deal about how to manage dementia is to prevent it in the first place. Mm-hmm. And as I said, lifestyle.
So it's life. Everything's boiling down to what you eat.
My goodness, yes. So a lot of it is about lifestyle. When I'm talking about lifestyle, it's what you eat and what you do. What you eat, what you do physically, and what you do mentally. Now, in different parts of the world, especially up in the Scandinavian countries, they've been looking at this. We've been doing retrospective studies on this, and they found that people who have gone into the vegetables, reduced their carbohydrates, especially the carbohydrates.
Low carbs.
Hey,
okay, let's do this.
You make sure you do your exercises. You make physical exercises. That is, you look at your crucial numbers. The crucial numbers you need to be looking at is your body mass index, the BMI. You're looking at your cholesterols. You're looking at your body weight. You're looking at your BP, making sure those are all within within the normal ranges from early in life, not when you're starting to hit. Okay, now I think I'm starting to be predisposed towards getting dementia. I'm getting older now. You're in your 50s. Start this stuff in your 20s.
Start it with the kids also.
Yes.
So with low carbs.
Let it be a lifestyle. Low carbs, exercise.
Which automatically means sugar is a no-no.
Oh, yes. Low carbs, and like I said, exercise of the body
And the
exercise
mind.
of the brain.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So a healthy lifestyle in every way possible.
Yes.
Now, there were also, in our research, we found out that they were talking about factors that are said to be non-cognitive symptoms of dementia, like agitation,
Right.
indifference, change
Right.
in appetite. Tell us a bit about that.
So these are behavioral symptoms. Okay. So in other words, it is not about how the cognition is not about how you're thinking. No, it's just about how you're responding to your immediate environment.
Okay.
And sometimes, irritability, you suddenly upset with this and that, and you just get agitated.
You have
can't
a short
control
fuse
yourselves,
suddenly.
you have issues, and so like I said, our wires, if you were to use analogy of wiring
Yeah.
in the brain, the covers of the wires start getting frayed. And so the normal neural transmission, the transmission of an impulse through the wires, starts getting interrupted. And sometimes you can get a short fuse. And sometimes you can get sparks. And,
Yeah.
The efficiency all goes down. And sometimes it may create serious blocks. And so you don't even... The impulse that you're sending doesn't even reach the end organ that is actually supposed to activate and get stuck in the middle, which produces an awkward reaction. And
So what tests can we do to check this wiring? They call them MRI scans. Because now my head is just thinking, okay, is there a way we can check these things out and see whether the brain's working properly?
Yes. Increasingly, there are these ways.
PET scans or something.
Now, PET scan. Now, we don't have a PET scan in Kenya.
Yeah,
No.
my friends had to go to India.
Yes. And PET scans themselves are still pretty expensive, even if you go to the first world. They're not done routinely.
Okay.
They're not done routinely. They're still pretty expensive. So, yes, they're available, and yes, they are showing all sorts of promising signs in terms of being able to detect some of these
What
changes.
about these are they called EEGs?
EEGs?
Yes.
Yes, electroencephalographs. Which
Yeah, I didn't even know what it stood for, but now I know.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's essentially measuring the electrical current which is
Yeah.
going through the brain, and hopefully ensuring that it's going down the right channels.
Do they help?
We do have. No, that we have.
No, I know we have them here, but do they help?
Do they help? No. Unless you have really serious problems. But the minimal kind of things that you would want to use perhaps to have a checkup, no, they wouldn't necessarily be very helpful. Like I said, the brain is very good at covering up any short-term small deficits that
I'm
actually
getting
don't
angry
care.
with this brain, man. So now if it hides everything.
The brain is a wonderful thing.
It's amazing. That's what I'm
is the
thinking. But if
point.
it's so hard to diagnose, wow,
Yes.
that must be tough. Now tell us about what's this nighttime behavior? What does that mean?
Right, Sundowning.
Okay.
Now, it's not the program.
Yeah. This is the home of Sundowner.
Right, this is the home of Sundowner. It is not the program itself, but what happens when the sun starts going down? It's much easier to get disoriented. And this disorientation is, it happens normally anyway. Oops, okay, the sun is going down, and suddenly you start seeing interesting shadows and you start interpreting them in all sorts of ways. Normally. Now, imagine you have deficits in your own perceptions, your intelligence. So suddenly, you start getting agitated. It's much easier to start getting agitated at that time when you start having misinterpretations of what's going on around you and things
So you're being scared by the shadows.
Absolutely.
Wow. That is a bit scary.
Yes. And so that would definitely promote all sorts of behaviors, which are essentially defense mechanisms. If you're scared of something, you want to move away from it. Or you want to call attention. Hey, guys, look, there's something happening over here. That's a normal defense mechanism, but it's just that much more. And as you get older, unfortunately.
So you're more alarmed. Your capacity to deal is less. So you get your panic gets on a higher level.
That's true.
Now, so far we've talked about dementia happening when you're hopefully after your 60s and 70s. Can it happen to young people?
Yes. And increasingly it is happening to younger people now. Once again, major causes are our lifestyles.
Nutrition. Let's
much
throw in drugs.
Absolutely.
This
You do-
experimenting with things.
all sorts of things that take your brain and compromise the nutrition of the brain, compromise the functioning of the brain because of reduced efficiencies. The brain uses a lot of energy. 1/5 of our energy can go to the brain.
Wow.
So that's why when people go through serious mental work, you come out exhausted and hungry because you've actually consumed a lot of glucose and, carbohydrates. So if we do get in a situation where we're not necessarily fueling the system and appropriately fueling the system, not just putting in all sorts of unhealthy nutrients, then we start to develop a predisposition to actually getting dementia earlier.
Okay, now this is how do we understand some of the because I'm seeing a lot of young people looking lost. Dementia, depression, do they have a relationship?
Now, dementia, depression, emotional. Okay?
Yes.
It's how you're responding, how you're perceiving the world, and how you respond subsequently to the world. And
Yes.
usually in a low mood and withdrawn, not willing to interact with anybody, just keeping quiet. Now, when you start getting dementia, it's not that you don't recognize your deficits. At different points in time, you do. And as you start to appreciate that, you know what, I'm not able to do what I used to do. I can't remember what I used to be able. I'm not as sharp as I used to be. I'm not able to respond in this particular way. And perhaps you had a perception of yourself that you wanted other people to appreciate. And suddenly you're not presenting like you'd have wished. So sometimes you'd prefer to step back so that they do not see the deficits which are now starting to develop.
So dementia can lead to depression.
Yes.
Wow.
And it's sad, you may be talking to your children, you may be talking to somebody and you can't remember their name. You experience it, you feel it. It's not like it's something that's just passing and you ignore it. You actually feel it. How can I be like this? How can I forget my children's names? Now, those kind of things, like I said, do cause depression. And among the younger people, okay, when I was doing my KCSE, I was sharp like this. When I was doing this, I was sharp like this. And then suddenly I'm in my mid-30s and
I can't remember nothing.
That road, the one that goes around the corner. What do you mean that road? This was always just on my fingertips. And now it's gone. And I remember it 5 minutes later. Yes, okay, I remember it 5 minutes later, but that's not me.
Yeah.
I used to just respond.
Snap of a finger and I had it.
It was at the back of my hand. So these things do definitely lead to depression. Yes, due to depression. And you see, one of the interesting things, one of the issues about dementia, for example, is it has a twofold impact. Twofold from the perspective of on the individual who has the dementia,
right,
and then the people who relate
around
to
the person
who has dementia.
Because it's true. Because you're lost. The people around you are wondering what happened to you. How do they deal with you? So can we? Okay, fine. I don't think we can. How do we manage it? I don't think. Can you treat dementia?
Work towards arresting it. Now there's some we can work towards arresting it. Now there's some forms of dementia, especially these ones which are related to nutritional lifestyles, things like that. I mean, change your nutrition, and you will be able to have some improvements. You start to manage your lifestyle. You get your weight back in order.
So if I come and see you and we do that, we can work on nutrition, and I get better.
Nutrition and exercise and all those things that I'm talking about.
Okay.
And yes, over a period of time, you will be able to get better. Now, but there's some, as again, using the analogy of the wire, unfortunately, we're not able to get into our brain.
Yeah, because if it's frayed, it's frayed.
And put the insulation back onto them. But we can slow down or prevent further deterioration. Again, now by getting our nutritions and all those things back in order again.
So is there medication?
We have medications. There's some which are quite promising, actually, which have been showing some sense of some results which suggest that there may be improvements. But like I said, we are able to slow down or arrest the deteriorations.
So if you're just joining us, I even forgot we're having a sit. Well, I'm not demented yet. We have with us Dr. David Bukusi, and we're discussing dementia. Hala, the adage "you are what you eat" really has come calling in again. So now you keep mentioning nutrition. Let's get back to what you're saying in the Scandinavians. So what are we saying? We're saying carbs next to zero. Let's be detailed here. What are the things we need to eat? Let's be specific. Sugar, we said no.
Sugar is one of those things. I think if it was discovered today, we'd have great problems having it.
It would be banned.
That's true. But no, not zero.
Low sugar.
Low.
Okay.
Low sugars, low carbs. Keep them low.
And maybe keep them less processed.
Yes, definitely less processed. We want the more natural.
Yes.
Now, as we're talking about
So what is brain food? You know, we've always been told omega-3 fish, very good. But now pollution. So what is the brain food? I'm really worried about my brain now.
And increasingly, all these plastics.
Exactly. You know, and they're leaching and everything, and yeah.
Yeah, we're doing have also all those kind of wonderful things, but we want to get those things which put in the micronutrients.
So what do we need to eat for the brain?
Green stuff, broccoli. You know,
okay, broccoli. Here we go. I'm going to love me some broccoli. So broccoli, huh?
You want to do those legumes and whatever it is. You know, these things which supposedly don't necessarily taste as great as
legumes are fine.
Some guys have some problems.
And some skuma and spinach and terere, the green traditional herbs.
These things are excellent.
Yum.
Excellent.
Okay, let's juice people.
Be able to do that. Yes, and now that you speak about juice again, remember. Quite a bit of our juices, our fruits have quite a bit of sugars.
Oops.
So,
bricks,
Yes. Fruits are wonderful. There's no question about it, and we need to be able to balance our diets. However, please watch the amount of the fruits that we actually eat. And
so you need to do like 10-20% fruit and then 80% veg.
You can do a lot of veg. Just
okay, you guys poor.
But you also need to do proteins, by the way.
So now let's get to proteins.
Yes.
Is it high fat, low fat? You know, these days diet is high low. Everything is an issue. So are we having lean protein? Are we having fatty protein? Which one?
Many people are working on lean proteins. Yes, lean proteins. Leaning towards white proteins,
which is just chicken and fish, full stop.
As opposed to the red meats. But again, in moderation, this is not. It's not going to cause too much of a problem. And when you talk about in moderation, we're suggesting that we should be having, if you're going to be doing red meat, maybe twice a week. Now,
please say that again.
Torture.
I need to call someone. Please say that again. You hear? Red meat twice a week, and we're not talking about 2 days as in lunch and supper.
No.
It's 2 meals.
Yes.
2 meals a week.
Stretch it out over the week. And then do the white meats and whatever, and then.
And those ones should be how often the white meats?
Those ones you can do 4 or 5 times. 3, 4, 5. More than the red meats.
Okay.
And again, small portions. As we get older, one of the things about us as we get older, our metabolic rate goes down.
Yeah.
So we don't burn as much. And so all these wonderful young people who can pile up their plates and
it's a mountain. You can hardly see them across it.
At breakfast, they're eating that at lunch.
But they're working out, they're in sports.
Some of them are not even working out. They're just lying around.
PS, they're watching the big box on the wall.
But, their system is just that much more efficient. Now, as we get older, we just don't need that much more energy. We are more circumspect in even moving, even turning around our heads. We plan it, so we definitely use a lot less energy. And as we use that little energy, then obviously we're not burning anything. So it's just accumulating. And then if we really, 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 really must go to the shop,
Yes, you could drive, you could take a matatu. There we go, there's Uber.
Yes.
Then I think we're all potentially headed on that direction.
Absolutely.
We need to make lifestyle changes.
Absolutely. So sometimes when I look at our roads and we're building up our roads, in again, some of those northern countries, as you're building a road,
you create area for people to walk and cycle. Yes.
We don't even have enough space for the car in the first place. So walking, cycling is an issue. I really wish we'd be able to incorporate this as mandatory. We're doing this, and you see, this is long term. It's not trying to sort out an emergency here.
No, it's start now.
Yes, and one of the things about us right now in this particular country, and perhaps in many parts of the world, by and large, poverty levels are reducing.
Okay.
Around the world, the grand gross poverty levels, people are therefore starting to eat a bit better.
And we're eating the wrong stuff.
Eating a lot of the wrong stuff, but people are living longer.
We are?
Yes, we are. If you can sort out the early childhood illnesses, 0 to 5,
yeah,
and you still hang around, if barring any major disaster, really, you are actually going to live longer. So there are more and more people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, and this is going to continue across the world. I think in Japan they're talking about
those ones have been living there, but they have been eating right for a very long time. Yeah,
huge proportions of our population.
They do
but
90.
We are also doing. We're heading in the same direction. Now, In other words, as we plan our infrastructure, we better plan for these guys because they're going to be around.
So we need
They're not
homes
checking
and
out.
care centers for them.
Preferably, we'd be promoting healthier lifestyles so that they can still look after themselves, at least for a significant period of time before the need for various centers, which will be able to look after the elderly. In various parts of the world, there are quite a number of towns which are now starting to design themselves very specifically to be elderly friendly. In fact, dementia friendly.
Dementia friendly.
Yes.
So how do you make you...
So it's like we need to educate. First, we need public education.
Right.
So that we do not, first of all, disrespect. We recognize we have an older population and we do not disrespect them. And should we find somebody who's older and is walking around on the streets or whatever it is, suggest, you can go approach them, help them if they can, if they need any assistance. They're at an ATM machine, they're really struggling.
So do we need to maybe have badges, like how they say if you're diabetic, because that is something at least I know I have seen a bit of. Somebody just wakes up and walks off and you guys have to try and trace them and they can't remember who they are, where they live, those kind of things. Yeah.
Right. Beyond a certain age, perhaps it may actually be a useful thing to do. Yes, I'm lost. Please, I'm in such and such a place. These are my details. But we also, as a nation, we also need to develop that as a culture. When an older person comes for services, I guess that's the idea around free services for the elderly. So when a person comes for services at the bank, as opposed to shouting at the poor lady as she's trying to go through her handbag to look for
help her
ATM machine, help her, as opposed to saying, you're blocking the line, please can you step aside?
We've gotten that bad. I mean, at least traditionally we've been brought up to respect elderly people.
It is most unfortunate. I've had that experience where an older person has actually walked out of a bank.
Millennials.
The bank teller is angry and the line is long, it's end of the month, people need to be served, and so mama, if you cannot sort yourself out, please kakando, and so that we can serve other people as you're looking for whatever it is you're looking for.
That is absolutely terrible.
The poor lady had to walked out of the bank because she couldn't stand. I mean, she's embarrassed, she's frustrated. I mean, she's not feeling nice about it. I mean, she came to the bank because she wanted some money.
That bank needs new customer care.
And one of the interesting things about these customer care courses, I'm not sure. I work at Kenyatta National Hospital as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. And so...
Yeah, your customer care is not the best.
We're working on it. We're definitely always working on it. I'm talking about the greater government program where people are always going for customer care courses. Yes, it has had some...
Maybe you need to sensitize people on...
But we need to sensitize
mental
everybody.
issues. Yes.
Everybody. The
Absolutely.
whole country. It's not just workers.
Everyone,
so
yeah.
Whether you're a child, you know that older persons are much more likely to behave in such and such a manner, and therefore it is important for us to respect them. 1, 2, to be able to help them out if we can.
But you see now with dementia, okay, an element I've thought of is they also get crotchety, and
True.
So you have to, you need you need to know how to deal with them.
Exactly. And that's where I was talking about the twofold impact of dementia.
Yeah.
The people who live with people with dementia.
Do they do they get help?
Usually the family. Those are the ones who bear the brunt of the dementia. And it is not easy. But usually what happens, the initial response, especially of family members, sometimes spouses, is impatience, anger, irritability. What's wrong with you?
It's frustration because you don't know what to do.
I give you your food. You should eat your food. Why aren't you doing this? Take your medicine, Mom. Why aren't you taking your medicine? And like I said, here we have cognitive changes taking place. We have personality changes taking place. Irritability, behavior. They're fearful. And a lot of the ways in which they interact is because they are fearful. If this poor lady, this poor gentleman has been forgetting where they've put their keys or
their glasses,
then suddenly they start walking around with a little bag because that's where they want to keep them so that they do not forget. And here you're saying, keep that bag aside, we're going out for a walk, or keep that, we're going to visit. But this is their reality. This is their reality. So part of being able to live with somebody who has dementia is to be able to enter their world and be calm about it. They're forgetful. They will forget they've told you a story, or they'll give you a reason for X, Y, Z at a particular point in time. They will repeat it. So it's up to you to start becoming patient. You need to be patient about it.
I think that's really important. Now, one simple question.
Yes.
Does medical insurance cover such issues like treatment of dementia?
Okay.
NHIF?
Diseases of old age. diseases of old age. Generally speaking, yes, because I mean they're exacerbations of regular conditions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But even as they're exacerbations of fairly regular conditions, well, yes. In a nutshell, yes.
Okay.
They will be covered.
Sawa.
They will be
Because
covered if
that's important for us to know.
That's right. And especially now that we're saying NHIF, we want to be able to cover everybody. And
Yes.
all the over 70s should get free.
Should be
NHIF
registered,
cover.
exactly, yeah.
Yes.
So we need to know that
absolutely.
they will not be frustrated
But-
when they look for help.
Yes, but what we do definitely need to strengthen in this country
Yes.
is old age healthcare.
So old age healthcare, eyes, mind, body,
Geriatrics.
geriatrics.
Medicine. We
Okay.
still do not have geriatric
Do we have
medicine.
Do we have any doctors trained in geriatrics?
Part of it is part of the challenge. Part of the challenge is that we have had a very strong focus on the young.
Well, because we still haven't been able to handle the. Even there, we have a shortage. Neurologists,
course.
pediatrics.
But because we have a shortage, does that mean we neglect other areas?
so
Now,
maybe the older
obviously-
doctors need to,
No, it's not about older doctors.
because they understand the issues.
Not
Just being cheeky
necessarily,
there.
Not
Yeah.
necessarily. It is a discipline in and of itself, and the fact that we are having larger and larger proportions of our populations.
Yeah, and you said we're gonna get to 80 and whatever, so we need experts.
Need people who will be able to be. And again, the treatment for the medication, the treatment and medicalization of older people it changes because once again of the metabolism. The metabolism has changed.
They're
So
slower,
whereas
yeah.
2 tablets 3 times a day for a 20-year-old may be fine for a particular condition, that same condition in an elderly person
Cannot
you're probably
work.
going to go down to 1 tablet, 1.5 tablet twice a day again, so that we have an appropriate amount of medication in the body, which can be dealt with by both the liver and the kidney, so that they do not suffer in toxic reactions to whatever medicines that they're given.
Wow, we've gone around. I tell you, we started in dementia, we've gone depression, we've gone geriatrics, but it's a good.
Yes.
It's an intertwined discussion.
Right.
Now, just as we wind up, I just need us
Yes.
to now divert again. Remember, we're talking about
Yes.
you're having something at Mavare,
Right.
about the world's suicide prevention. Please, prevention. So, what exactly is happening? What time? And yes, are the public allowed to come?
Yes, we're having some presentations. We're having presentations and discussions talking about issues to do with suicide, factors which we should be able to look out for. And usually they're unhappiness, usually they're hopelessness, usually they're repetitive behaviors, usually they're when somebody starts talking about it and, being pretty serious about what they're actually going to do to end their lives. Those are the kind of things that we want to look out for. Changes in behavior, and many young people are also committing suicide.
Yeah, so I'm thinking this needs to be a topic that we need to call you back to discuss in
Yes,
detail, because
yes.
we're alarmed and worried. But you said it mainly affects young men.
No, not mainly.
Majority.
What I did say is that a significant proportion of suicide we have.
So it's not at 50-50.
The people who are successful at
Are
committing
men.
suicide tend to be more male.
Male.
Yes.
Well, because the females look for the
Yes, females have all
less
sorts of-
painful way of doing
yes.
things.
So by the time the young men are deciding it, they're hanging themselves. Hanging
Yeah,
themselves.
it's very
or
hard to recover
cutting
from.
themselves. It's difficult to recover from. Taking an extra dose of Panadol.
Is the likelihood
important.
you'll wake up?
Yes, there's a likelihood you wake up, and hopefully somebody will be able to address particularly the concerns that you have. As we're talking about the men, there are 2 particular periods in time. Young men, we're talking about 18 to 24.
18 to 24.
Yes,
Okay.
and then we're talking about older men as they start hitting their 40s into their 50s.
What? 40s to 50s?
Yes, when they start wondering, okay, kusema ukweli, same, have I achieved what I ever really wanted to do?
Really?
And then you start
40 to 50. I think by then you found your inner chi and your
Really?
bad. Well, that is the question now. Wow.
And you see, in this world where it seems that people are becoming more and more hopeless, things are just becoming much more difficult to
manage
achieve anymore. And dreams are being broken. People are going to school supposedly so they can have a greater life. jobs.
They never get the job, yeah.
Yes. And
okay.
when you, in your 40s and 50s, if you get retrenched, retirement government is 60 years old, for example. If you get retrenched at 43, what are you going to do?
Nobody wants you.
All the young kids are all doing the IT. You haven't got the IT skills those guys have got. Those are the only jobs which are available.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Wow.
Where are you going to live?
But it's happening to the women as well.
Yes, but true. Women tend to be much more adaptive, and usually they've been doing a couple of other things anyway.
She has a kachamo on the side.
Yes, they're able to mix it up. So even as I'm talking about that, I'll just, if you allow me, I'm just going back on the 28th and the 29th of September.
Right.
Okay, in a couple of weeks.
We're having that will be a Thursday and a Friday.
The 4th African Regional Conference on Alzheimer's Disease in Kenya.
Wow.
So the Africa region, we're going to have a conference on Alzheimer's disease. And, we'd really want people to come if they could. It's going to be held at the Cantaria Hall, Lions Hospital, Loresho.
Okay.
And we really need to get people.
So this is not doctors. This is for everyone.
No, this is everyone.
Okay.
And to a very great extent, caregivers are also very strongly encouraged, because these are the people who
deal with the people,
It's hardest.
Family, so yes.
So we want to have that. We do have an Alzheimer's support group. So we do have activities which are taking place. And we urge people, when you are taking care of the elderly around you and you are starting to have this, one of the bigger things is about just understanding what's actually going on. Understanding what's actually going on, so that you can actually look after our older loved ones much more carefully, much more meaningfully. But it's draining, of course.
It is. It's also emotional for you, and
absolutely.
It takes a toll.
Yes, but that's why you need to be able to step back, get some help. One, for yourself,
and then for the loved one.
Information so that you can actually provide better care for your loved ones.
Wow, I tell you, time is never enough, but we have begun the conversation. Hopefully we'll be able to get Dr. David Bukusi back very soon. He is a psychiatrist, psychologist at the Kenyatta Hospital.
Kenyatta National Hospital.
So thank you very much. We'll be back with a 9 o'clock bulletin.